Yo, what's up, everybody? From Beantown to your town, this is the Beantown Beatdown. Matthew Barris.
Gabe Chalmers, also from Beantown.
Yeah, yo, go back to some gangster rap. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yo, what up?
nice.
Yeah. Crack open these
and
babies.
Also cracking open cold ones, like in the days.
That's right, yo. All right, we gotta get into some headlines here. First and foremost, a fight date has been set for May 7th. It will be Canelo Alvarez putting the WBC middleweight championship on the line against Amir Khan.
This should be interesting, right?
Oh, yes, it is. Amir Khan moving up 2 weight classes to fight Canelo Alvarez. Amir Khan is a wonderful boxer, a former world champion in the lighter weight divisions from London, England, of course, of I think it was Pakistani
descent.
Descent.
Yeah.
Couldn't get the fight with Mayweather, but gets the fight with Canelo Alvarez right around the time of Cinco de Mayo. So I know a lot of the Mexicans are going to be there that night at the MGM Grand. Also, a lot of the fans from England are probably going to be there too.
Yeah,
England
that
versus
would make
Mexico.
Sense. You don't hear that very often.
Yeah, and should be a good fight. I don't know if I'll have the money to order that fight because the month before I'm ordering Pacquiao versus Bradley. So
gotcha.
We'll see. Yeah, we gotta see what goes on there. And speaking of fights going down this Saturday night, of course, the Fox Sports 1 fight that was originally UFC 196. Of course, Verdum and Velasquez, they're injured. So now we got this. We got the main event for this fight on Fox Sports 1. It's gonna be Johnny Hendricks versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in a contendership fight in the welterweight division. Should be a great fight. You know, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, he is on the up. I mean, karate, a Karate Point champion. His whole family has done kickboxing and karate. And this kid could be the next Lyoto Machida. He could be the Lyoto Machida of the welterweight division. So,
oh, man. Yeah.
Oh, yes. I am definitely looking forward to this fight. And really should be an interesting fight on Saturday. And I'm still going to go to the Causeway Bar to watch this. Of course, I won't have to pay a cover charge, thank God.
Right.
So I can just go there, have my cheese fries and my Angry Apple Orchard. And that's it.
That's that.
And last but not least, there was actually a picture of Ronda Rousey kissing her boyfriend, Travis Brown.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's great to see young love like that. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's nice to see that Ronda has a boyfriend. Of course, I wish that boyfriend was me.
Right. But in the real world.
Yeah, but in the real world, she's dating someone else. And I really can't wait for Roadhouse to come out, man. Roadhouse, I think, is going to be amazing. And also, I forgot to mention this. She will also be doing a movie with Tina Fey. It's going to be
really?
It's based off her campaign, Do Nothing Bitch. Don't be a Do Nothing Bitch.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, well, apparently they're doing a movie on that because Tina Fey and her friends will play like these wives who all of a sudden their lives fall apart because their husbands leave them. And Rhonda plays is the head of a workshop. She's sort of like a drill sergeant in that, like teaching women how to defend for themselves and be a do nothing bitch.
Right, exactly. Nice. Looking forward to that then.
Yep. So that's it for headlines, and now we're gonna open it for. Now it's officially called Get Over Yourself.
Get Over Yourself, yes. All right, so yeah, let's go with more Get Over Yourself. This last time I talked about, the internet and how, there's this whole thing of internet bullying and whatnot, and though I think it's a great tool, I also think, certain people need to get the fuck out of things that don't involve them. So I'm just gonna kind of go more broadly with that today. I'm gonna talk about people's reputation, and and also like when should you chime in, when should you not. There's actually there was a speaking of last time we talked about Rhonda on SNL.
Yeah.
One of the segments that they've done on SNL recently, it was called Should You Chime In on This? And that was when McConaughey was hosting, and he was part of that. He was part of that segment, and they were basically like there was 4 different people that were kind of representing the biggest types of idiots out there, and should you chime in on this? And it was like I forget the examples. Like there was one that was like, oh yeah, this girl wants to be on her high school football team, and so McConaughey was I think the guy answering at that point, and he's like, so wait a minute now, I don't live where this high school is, right? No, you do not. I don't know the girl or the family in any way. No, you do not. So should you chime in on this? It's like, yep, I'm still gonna chime in on this. Female bones. Anyway, the guy just cuts him off there. He's like, no, you shouldn't have chimed in on that.
Well, honestly, I don't remember that segment. I mean, I remember him hosting the show. I remember him explaining his character in Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
And explaining that line. That's why I like high school girls.
Mm-hmm.
I get older and they stay the same age.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
True statement.
Exactly. But anyway, so I like that segment because it's like it very specifically points to a problem that we have, and I kind of covered it last week. But like I said, I'm going more general now. Like get over yourself. Again, why that's the perfect name for this segment, because not everything involves you. Not everything, there are certain situations that people should figure out how to deal with themselves. Like if a girl wants to join the high school football team. I wish I remembered the rest because they're all just like that. They're all like like very specific type of thing that most people should, that don't have anything to do with it, should stay the hell out. It's we have both a problem of low self-esteem. A lot of people are dealing with that, not feeling like they're nothing. And then a lot of other people have the exact opposite problem, where everything. I get to chime in on everything, and everything I see, I get to comment on, and it all involves me, and I'm actually very important, and people should listen to me. It's like both of those things going on at the same time, which is interesting, but to me, it's not surprising. I think if there is a problem of low self-esteem on one end, there's going to be a problem of people thinking they're far too important on the other end. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and everyone chimes in and stuff like that. Well, one time we were talking about this. This was a deleted episode, I guess. I lost one where we were trying to talk about this. Kind of like when Perez Hilton. I mean, it's like
right.
Like he went through that whole thing talking about people's kids. Like he talked about Demi Moore's like daughter like wearing an outfit, one of the daughters, I forget who, and then like talking about Adam Sandler's kids when their kids are not part of the business,
right? I
mean,
right,
and
exactly.
And he wonders why he got punched in the face by will.i.am. No,
yeah.
He says that he's changed, but I'm a little on the fence on that because him and Gaga had a falling out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You did ask me on that last episode. You asked me what the gay community feels about that. I said I wasn't quite in the loop, but in that sense, I don't really know what's going on with him. But I do think if one of the divas themselves, like Gaga, have not forgiven him, then the gay community won't forgive him.
Oh yeah, in fact, he when he got punched in the face by will.i.am because like will.i.am confronted him about what what he said about Fergie's album and saying that Fergie's dress was fugly, and then he goes, and then Perez, he was all making the video. He was like, I'm making this video as Armando Gavlada Avendea. You're like, shut the fuck up. In fact, they were actually making fun of it on Opie and Anthony. Back when it was Opie and Anthony, of course now it's Opie and Jim Norton. Okay. And Patrice O'Neal, he was a guest. Rest in peace, Patrice, great comedian. And he said this funny joke. He said, "Listen, man, if the word faggot had not been involved, that had not been invented yet, then you would look at this video and be like, shut up, faggot."
Right.
And then they did all this. Then they did the joke about the Pulp Fiction. Remember that scene in Pulp Fiction when Ving Rhames got fucked in the ass? And then they were just like, they were playing the song, and he says, and they were making fun of Armando saying that. He's going, help me. I'm a human being. This should not be happening to me. Zed, you're fugly, Zed.
Right.
Oh yeah,
exactly. So yeah, that's a very good point. Like he doesn't. I will agree. He doesn't deserve that sympathy if he's fucked with other people's kids, and that's something else I was gonna say in terms of like celebrities and stuff. Everyone wants to comment on celebrities, and that's kind of another problem or issue in our society, as far as I'm concerned, is that we put so much in the hands of celebrities, and that it can be really powerful when they want to when they get people to follow them for a good cause. I mean, that's what got me to respect Gaga, is that she got, in the very beginning, she was an activist. She got beginning of her fame anyway, and she got people to follow her for very good causes, and still she does that sometimes.
Oh yeah, that song "Till It Happens to You," yeah. In fact,
exactly.
That got nominated for an Oscar. So she's up for an Oscar, and
yeah, exactly. That's fantastic. So anyway, a lot of times they will use their fame and their influence to get spotlight on great things. So that's great. But then it's like the reason they feel compelled to do this, I think, is because we already had the problem before that people followed them for anything and everything. I think people in the 80s and 90s followed celebrities just too much, and they wanted to be everything that they were. There's a whole industry of making items, for to wear or purses or whatever that celebrities had. You know what I mean? And people want to buy them just because the celebrity had them. I think that type of stuff went too far.
Yeah, even the. Like the New Kids on the Block, they kind of went through that.
Right.
Of course, that was later on in the 90s, because that was when, wait a minute, how old are you now? I don't mean to put your age in this, but...
Right, yeah, don't.
Oh, okay, well, we'll put it this way. What year were you born in?
That's the same thing.
Oh,
okay, I'm a child of the mid-'80s.
Yeah, I was born in 86. But, I saw this on there, I've seen this on documentaries about them and stuff, because, after the first two albums, then it became then there came the dolls, and then there was the buttons, the stickers, and then came the cartoon, the Saturday morning cartoon, which got replaced by MC Hammer's cartoon, which I vaguely remember. Actually, I do remember that.
Yeah.
And and then the new, then it became the videos and stuff like that, and everyone thought, and then by the mid '90s, it was around mid '92, early '92, it was they were no longer popular, because it was people felt oh, enough with this already. And even though Donnie tried to was branching out a little bit and producing other music acts, including his brother Maki and stuff, to prove that the New Kids weren't these corporate puppets.
Right.
People just felt enough with this already, this New Kids mania thing, and that's why. That by the time they came out with their new album in '93, it was done, and then they broke up. And of course, nowadays, Of course now they're back together, which is a good thing. But that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. And and I feel like that's kind of the problem, is that it's set up for this trajectory. And in my opinion, if you do build them up so much, then it's only, I think with all the boy bands, with all the with a lot of the groups, like, you build them up so much, and to make all the entertainment industries focus on them, eventually that's gonna fall back on their faces.
Well, I mean, not all of them. I mean, I think, well, because nowadays, New Kids on the Block are now these pioneers. I mean, they were kind of considered pioneers when, NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and 98 Degrees came out. In fact,
Right.
I remember people saying, like, oh, they're a ripoff of New Kids on the Block. New Kids on the Block should come back and kick their ass. And,
right.
That's, they are now considered pioneers as far as,
Right, but I mean, you see what happened to NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. You see what happened to them. They just like, who cares about them anymore? That type of thing.
Well, with NSYNC, it was more like Justin went solo, and then there was some, they wanted to, like, then they said, like, well, they were gonna come back, and then Justin felt like, well, I don't know if we can come back and be as big as we are now. And I mean, they had a little.
He was probably right about that. I mean, I think Justin did make a good career for himself, but as a solo artist, not as part of the group.
Yeah, I mean, they got back together like a few years ago at the VMAs, and of course, I would like to see a full-on reunion. Like maybe some new music and and stuff like that, and let's see if NSYNC really does still have it, not just have a one-night thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I feel like a lot of times we have this pedestal, and that's something one of my teachers said in one of our classes. Is that maybe the problem is that we like to put them high up on this pedestal, but then we always love to watch them fall as well. It's a strange thing that you think it's all love and idolization of them, but we also are there to poke fun at them when they fall. You know what I mean? Not always, but
especially not me. I'm a dream maker. I'm someone who believes in dreams and stuff like that.
Yeah, me too. And so I mean, I do. It's not to say that I'm there laughing at them when they fall, and it's not to say that I don't hope that they make it and that they go out gracefully if they're going to go out. But I don't know. I think a lot of times there is this sort of setup. Another thing in the comedy realm I want to talk about is they did a great South Park did an episode about Britney Spears, and usually they kind of trash on people, but this one it was really sympathetic to her because they said it was basically the media's mistake.
And by media, you mean TMZ.
Probably, yeah.
Nothing against TMZ. I love those guys.
Right.
I love those guys on TMZ.
Right, me too. Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, it was this whole thing where she's driven to try and kill herself, and it doesn't work, and of course, since it's South Park, it's ridiculous. There's the point where she only has half of her head because she tried to shoot her brains out, and then everyone's like, look at. It's so bad. Everyone's like, look at Britney and her no half of my head look.
Yeah.
Anyway, so but it comes down to that they said that it's a modern virgin sacrifice. What is it? Young woman sacrifice. You remember this whole thing where it turns into it's actually a ritualistic sacrifice, and they get these young ladies to kill themselves instead of killing them to sacrifice for the Mayan gods. So it's like nowadays we think that's barbaric, but we need them to kill themselves so that we can then have a better corn harvest. So anyway, I mean, I think that's not. It's completely ridiculous, but I think that's not too far off the mark sometimes when it's like we're looking for the next best thing. The entertainment industry is looking for the next best thing, and I think they're also looking for the old thing to kind of tear down, and show business is cruel. So I don't agree with those methods, and I don't agree that we should either be following them and getting all their products, or laughing at them and tearing them down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm a dream maker. Everyone should follow their dreams and stuff like that. I mean, one more quick example, like they even did that with the band Kiss. I mean, when Kiss was like really popular, they were doing the Marvel comics, which Gene Simmons loved because he loves Stan Lee and all the guys at Marvel, and then they did, that Kiss Saves Christmas, the cartoon,
right.
And then everyone was like, oh, I don't like Kiss anymore, and it's like, I'm not into that now. Like my little brother is into that now. I don't like Kiss, and of course since then, now Kiss is still one of the greatest bands in the world, and I mean and Gene Simmons is a rock god now, so
yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that in terms of getting back to get over yourself, we think we can talk, not chiming in. We think we can talk about people's reputation, and we think that we have the right to comment on it, but I don't think we do. And I remembered it was actually kind of a little bit of a disease. It gets into your head when you read the celebrity tabloids, which I used to do all the time. And I remember my sister caught me. I was like, but you don't understand. Britney does it. I didn't really like Britney Spears, but like Christina does this and Christina does that. And she's like, wait a minute, you mean Christina Aguilera, the huge pop star that you will never meet? I'm like, well, yeah, but they say here that she does this and that, and and she should have done this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you actually believe that you know them, and you believe that what you're reading about their decisions in their life is true. Which, by the way, those tabloids, I found out later, a lot of them are owned by the same company, but then will pretend to be like one thing or the other. They'll pretend to be pro-Hollywood or anti-Hollywood, but they're owned by the same company. They'll pretend to be left wing leaning or right wing leaning, but still owned by the same company. So that's also a whole ruse. That if you read one, it will say that the celebrity said this and should have done that. You read another, that the same celebrity said this and should have done that. But so you can't actually believe it, and then B, it gets into your head that you get to know them and personally, and that you get to comment on every little thing that they do, which I think is a bit of a disease.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I'm guilty of celebrities and worshiping celebrities.
Right, or following them. Even.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course, especially if it's one I can jack off to. But it's. But it's everything in moderation, as they say.
Exactly.
Especially moderation. All right, so now we're gonna get into the blast from the past.
Yep.
And our blast from the past is we haven't done these in a while. Now this is not a fight, but this is there's a video on YouTube. There's an old video on YouTube. This was talking about the UFC. This was back in 1996. It was in February of '96. And I guess this is when this was right around the time when John McCain was starting the fucking witch hunt. He was actually on there talking about how bad the Ultimate Fighting Championship is and stuff like that. And this was when the UFC was still in its in those days when it was like a tournament, no holds barred and stuff. I mean, Dan Severn was on there, and yeah, and Emmanuel Yarbrough was on there. For those of you who don't know, he was in UFC 4. That famous clip where in UFC 4 when UFC 3 when John Hackey did like that overhand karate chop to his face. He just went whap, and that big sumo guy just went down.
Right.
And then he just beat him down and stuff like that. I mean I mean, I was just looking at it and just thinking like, wow, the UFC really has come a long way. And I mean, granted, we still kind of live off that shock value of what happened back in the old days. You know, when it was
Yes.
real, no holds bars, no rounds, no gloves.
Right.
Yeah, the only rounds, especially around that time, I think the only rounds were really like no eye gouging and no biting.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, later on, fish hooking came
I
into
was
play
about to
when
say.
Tank Abbott
Yeah.
came in.
Yeah, and by that point it was pretty mainstream. Like we talked about this at one point when it was when they did that whole episode on Friends about it, and that's when fish hooking was already illegal. So
Oh yeah, that episode of Friends with Tank Abbott.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you know, with John McCain, and you know, and I've said this. I actually said this before with a mutual friend of ours, Kevin Offer, K Dog.
Yeah.
You know, I was telling him about this joke that Chris Rock said on his comedy special, "I Ain't Never Scared." He says that if you're black, you have to look at America a little differently. He says, if you're black, he says that America is like that uncle that paid your way through college but molested you. You gotta forgive. You know, that's with fans fans of the UFC. That's how kind of we look at John McCain. It's like he's that guy that paid he paid our way through college, but he molested us. It's like, okay, yeah, you made us clean up the sport. You know, we have
right, exactly.
we have
Which
rounds.
some people would say is the reason that it's still as acceptable as it is. Blah blah.
Yeah, because it's like now we have rounds, we have gloves, we have judges, but it's like at the same time, it's like yeah, but then you try to really outlaw us in every state. You forced us to go to places in the South, you know, like places in the South where you shouldn't stop for gas, you know, like, well, I guess I really shouldn't say this. I mean, like, you know, because I don't really know the whole reputation of these places. Like, we were in, like, Dalton, Alabama, Lake Charles, Louisiana, you know, there's, like, some places in Georgia. It's just, you know, stuff like that.
Right. So you think that like while he was like making it more respectable, you know, in the eyes of other people, he was also like relegating you to a certain place and trying to quash it basically.
Yeah, you know, it was just I mean, they were like doing mixed martial arts shows. They were doing it in like you know, like down in the South, and then you know, and then he was, you know, he just, of course, it made for fighters getting paid less money now, and actually got him kicked off pay-per-view.
Oh, really?
Yeah, worldwide pay-per-view. The only, like around the late '90s, it was like the only way you could watch the UFC was like if you had like Direct TV, and you know, but of course it has changed a lot. I mean, there was like. You know, New Jersey, like the State Athletic Commission, the person who was in charge at the time, he was like a martial artist himself, and he understood the UFC and what it meant about combining all the arts and all that stuff, making it a real sport.
Right.
And it was even worse when, well, actually, I was really surprised when the UFC for their 20-year anniversary, when they were doing like the documentary film, you know, UFC fight for a generation. And, you know, they asked John McCain to be a part of it. You know, I mean, and John McCain was part of it. I was like, what? You know, it's like,
right.
You know, I mean, they had on like, you know, Mixmaster Mike from the Beastie Boys, Mike Tyson, Andy Reid from Red Hot Chili Peppers, and David Spade, Shannon Lee. But you know, I was really surprised with John McCain. I mean, especially with all that bad blood there, and and of course, John McCain was like, "Well, you know, my intention was not to shut it down. It was just to make it safe for society and blah blah blah." You know, it's like, of course, if you're a UFC fan, you know, especially right now, what's been going on with UFC being once again banned from doing a show in New York. I mean, they're filing an appeal for a November date, but it's just,
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, they've been trying to keep it out of New York for years, and you know, and of course, if you're fans like me and stuff, you know, I mean, of course, it's like, well, it's good that he kind of came around, but it's like, But at the same time, it's just like, you motherfucker. Especially if you're a Democrat, you're just like, you motherfucker.
Right, exactly.
Fuck you.
Exactly, that makes sense. All right, so anyway, we should wrap it up.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up right here. Go to YouTube, subscribe on Bloody Knuckles TV, and also go to Facebook. We have a Facebook page.
Where it's
pretty soon.
Continuing new blogs.
Yeah, in fact, I actually got a blog coming up soon about the upcoming Ken Shamrock versus Hoist Gracie fight, the third and final fight, and also one more thing I wanted to mention: Lady Gaga singing the national anthem at the Super Bowl.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the day after the UFC fight on the 6th. So Super Bowl weekend. I'm gonna watch the fight on Saturday, which is Super Fight Saturday, I call it.
Okay.
Then the next day, I'm gonna watch Gaga sing the national anthem. Then I'm gonna watch the halftime show with Coldplay and Beyonce, and then after that, done. I don't really care who wins the game because my Patriots aren't in it. But next year we'll be back and we'll be kicking ass.
All right. So from both of us at the Beantown Beatdown,
Bios con Dios.